Welcome to Are We the Only Ones? This is Kathy.
Hi, I'm Ray.
And today we're going to be talking about the bromance fallout from Elon and Trump.
And Donald.
Which is interesting because, I mean, it's not like we didn't realize this was an impending situation that would happen eventually because of
a mile away.
Because of their personalities, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Like, you got two people that have been born into wealth. You have to start there.
Yeah.
So there's a...
What do you mean born into wealth? They're both really hardworking men who pulled themselves up by their booty bootstraps.
Look, I grew up in Silicon Valley. I was raised in Los Altos. Home of the 1%. Okay, so I'm not going to sit like... However, there is a way to do the right thing. And for the most part, I think when you think about like the Founding Fathers and where... with the Constitution, the fact that we didn't have like a mandatory requirement to like turn in your tax forms until Donald Trump, they had to create that law for that.
You know, that, right? Gentleman's agreement.
Exactly, exactly. So because of that, you realize like they didn't think that a president that would be elected would ever turn on their constituents to the extent of like I want to cut all your programs that would help you out. I want to like literally like take away medical care that would be available to you because of some philosophy that is not grounded in medical stuff. And there's some stuff that happened today also. There's like conflicting something in Texas. So that there's so many things that are occurring that like all of a sudden you wonder if they're going to stop occurring because of this fallout, right? So like Doge is, I know that a lot of people at Doge, they're working, they're scared. They don't know if they're gonna have a job anymore, right? Which makes sense.
The fake government agency that was just developed overnight.
Well, I think Senator Warren just filed a lawsuit that's gonna be about investigating Doge and whether it's like legal or not. Like the whole thing was like not legal.
The whole thing should be illegal.
It is illegal. It's not a constitutional. It's not within the Constitution. It's not something he's allowed to do.
He had no government clearance. It was so illegal.
But it's so
disgusting.
I think that was a perfect like example of how like our government and our like society does stuff, and then the government rules or whatever the policing is super far behind, and eventually it catches up.
Yeah,
Lady Justice always catches up, even though she grinds very slow.
Yeah,
right. But like this is that. Like I remember watching everything happening with Doge as it was going down. Like USAID is now possibly like coming back, right? I know AmeriCorps, there was a lawsuit to stop the dismantling of AmeriCorps that just...
Which we need that. Like, kids who don't go to college and rely on that kind of stuff.
Well, plus all these people would be homeless all of a sudden. Like, why would you want to do this to your own people? Unless my theory is that, like, you're maybe working to a certain extent for... You owe somebody who's running another government who wants it to be this way. Because that's the only reason it would make sense that you, as the president, would literally go in and do all this stuff that would kind of like, I call it the Grim Reaper presidency. That's what I'm coining it. Because I have never seen someone take so much joy out of basically committing manslaughter. I'm going to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt that he doesn't know that could possibly happen, that what he's doing could possibly result in all these deaths. But as somebody whose mom, like, died from the lack of understanding of the pandemic and COVID and everything, and she was a supporter of Donald Trump and died as a result of supporting him, I know firsthand that his supporters can end up losing their lives by supporting him. Like, that's literally what has happened to my mother, right? So,
we're seeing that with, like, anti-vaxxers losing their kids, and they're doubling down on being anti-vaxxers.
So, this situation, to me, had to happen because you have two people who are super corrupt. There's a point of corruption, like even in the mob, there's a certain amount of trust. There's have no trust.
Exactly. No trust. And this all started when Musk was making his exit from Doge.
Yeah.
And then he started tweeting about the big, beautiful bill or whatever. scam is
So
called.
like, there's a lot of pork. I remember he said, there's a lot
Yeah.
of pork in this bill, and I saw the quote, and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, so he started.
Gloves are coming off.
Yeah, he started speaking out about that. And that's where it kind of all started. And then it just really escalated yesterday. Oh my gosh. I follow Midas Touch. Do you follow Midas Touch on Instagram?
No, go ahead. Tell me.
One of the guys was going on a run.
Mm-hmm.
And what he does is he does live updates on his Instagram, which we'll link in the show notes. So you can also follow them because they're hilarious. But it's three brothers. But he was stopping his run like every 2 minutes to like record, like, oh, Elon Musk just tweeted this. Donald Trump just tweeted this. And everyone's like, he can't even go for a run. Because it was just like bam, 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 bam. Which was absolutely hilarious. But
that was actually me this morning. I got off of a cruise ship today. And I literally was like, oh my God, this is happening. I'm like posting things as I'm posting pictures of the cruise ship, saying goodbye to the cruise ship. I'm also posting all this like political stuff. I'm sure people are just like, what is, like,
What
dude,
is this?
pick a lane, right? But like, so much stuff is happening that you can't really focus on one thing because there's just like, you have to multitask all this information all the time. And like, I mean, so one of the interesting things I thought was like in my brain, but I was like joking, but then I was kind of serious, was like, okay, if this whole situation, like we've been advocating, not me, but like this white South Africans have a like a refugee status or whatever, and they're coming over here. Does this policy and this program end? Because this is really
from Elon Musk.
There's no other, I mean, it made no sense to me. I'm like, wait, what? Like, so then Steve Bannon, literally because Elon Musk tweeted that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files.
Not a surprise.
And then Steve Bannon, as a result, is now telling Donald Trump to have a formal investigation on Musk and all of the contracts and his drug use.
Mm-hmm.
And then to deport him back to Africa. And I'm like, wow, we have gone full circle. We have, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have white supremacist advocacy from the White House, right? To a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to put as nicely as I can put it.
No, I mean, Donald Trump said in a tweet, like, that was a Nazi salute. You know it.
Oh, yeah.
I know it. And then he still fucking put him in a position in the White House, which means he's totally okay with Nazis.
Well, I remember when Steve Bannon was made chief of staff, my first comment was like, dude, there's no way that, like, if you're somebody who's not racist, you would never affiliate with anybody that was remotely, openly racist, let alone somebody who is clearly, like, in the WS/N category. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And, like, if you think anything like you could possibly, as the president of the United States, put somebody like that as the chief of staff and not be super down with racism, super down with discrimination, you're crazy. And then all his legislation is proof of that. So it's evidence of what I'm saying is true. Yeah. Right. So then,
well, I don't know, because there are people, this is going so off topic, but there are people when you're like, well, Donald Trump is racist or Elon Musk is Nazi. I've had patients at my job who come in and they're like, Elon Musk's not a Nazi. I'm like, he literally did a Nazi salute. What the fuck are you talking about? I can't say that in my workplace, but in my brain, I'm thinking, at work, I'm like,
I find it very interesting how much they don't want to take responsibility and credit for their actual things that are their actual symbols because they know it's wrong.
They know it's wrong.
So that's why I'm like, if you can't stand 10 toes down and stand on this, nothing about this ideology is real.
Right. So, but where I was going with that is there are people who, when you say like Donald Trump is racist, they're like, no, he's not. He did this, this, and this. But then it's like, those are also the same people that are like, well, racists can be policed because they can separate it. I've literally had people tell me that. People in my own family, when we've had that argument,
okay, so
Black Lives Matter, they told me, it's okay if police are racist because they can separate it. And I'm like, you cannot separate your bias. When you are like in a life and death situation or you feel threatened, your bias, you don't check it. It just comes out. It just shows.
Look, I think like I'm further along as an anti-racist. I'm further along than like I'm afraid to be called this or that. Like I'm like, dude, like I'm gonna tell you right now, like this is because for real, when you're hanging out with, when you're a person of color, you hang out with other people of color. we freely talk to each other about our differences and we don't get pissed off at each other.
Mm-hmm.
So because I grew up in a society that was like mostly white,
Mm-hmm.
I also am a bridge to being like, dude, like I'm gonna tell you guys, like this is actually kind of hilarious. Like I'm gonna tell you what it is, like about you guys. You know what I mean? Like, and try to do the same thing. But when you do it from the perspective of like, you're so like what they're saying. Okay, so Donald Trump, I have said to this effect, to this understanding, Donald Trump is not the racist in the sense of the purest type of racist, because that's for sure true. And I say this because if you're thinking like hardcore,
I'm not saying he's got
right.
a white hood and he's burning.
I do believe that he is not that far from that. I'm saying though that like in a modern times you have Proud Boys being someone who is actually brown, right? You have that racism today is not just about.
It's not so black and white.
It's not just about race. The fact that you have, this is the other point I was like trying to make, but I was like, like Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, and Trump, they're all white. Steve Bannon is literally trying to deport a white South African back to Africa. And the irony of that is like so beyond hilarious of the full circle moment of this, that if you don't see that all of this is it's not any ideology about race, even about gender, those things are used as a tool to hold all the power.
Right.
It is not really.
At the same time, it's like protecting your own.
Well, like you can't be against abortion and then have paid for how many abortions that both of those men have probably. You know what I'm saying? Like, admittedly, even like have admitted to even paying. So that's why I'm like.
But you can because they do.
What I'm saying is that none of this stuff now is an actual ideology. This is just like picking and choosing things
to save face for the constituents.
Just to stay in power.
Yeah.
Like, what'll work to stay in power? I don't believe in any of this shit. I just know they believe in this shit, and if I use it on them,
they're pandering.
They'll keep me in power. That's it. If you break it down, instead of it's like, there's integrity in this. Take all the integrity of the belief system out and recognize they have no integrity in what they believe in. They're just doing it because it works as a tool. If you know, like, step on this stone because that won't fall. Step on this stone because that won't fall. This is that you're stepping on stones of ideology will not fall. These are solid things. These people will not let these things fall. So you can stand those. You don't have to believe in them. Yeah. But as long as you stand on them, they'll hold you up.
Yeah.
And
so they're talking the talk, but they're not walking the walk.
Well, now we'll see what happens because these are the two pillars, right? These are two of the biggest pillars of this MAGA ideology that's been holding on for honestly, it's not even like 6 months. Oh no.
We know.
Almost. We're just shy of 6 months of the presidency.
They didn't even make it 6 months into their relationship.
So I'm saying, like, we will now see. What is that? I don't understand what that tweet from Elon Musk was like. He's got 3.5 years. Trump has 3.5 years as president. And I have 40 years. What does that mean? I think
he's saying because previous to that, he tweeted that the only reason Trump won was because he helped him.
Like, what does he mean? Like, steal it? Like, with like, allegedly, data? Allegedly, like, what was he alluding to? I'm like, look, hey, FBI, it's time to search all these computers. Search these computers. What's happening?
But I think what he was saying was the only reason Trump won that election is because of him, and that Trump was ungrateful, and that after 3.5 years, Trump's not going to mean shit. He's not going to have any power, but Elon Musk is still going to be the richest man in the world for 40 more years. So he's going to be able to control a lot, and Trump's not going to be able to do shit. I think that's what he meant.
So he's threatening him. He just threatened him.
He was like, you are...
I just want to understand, did I understand that's not... To me, it sounded like a very well-worded, long-term threat. That I was like, who's he threatening, though? Like, I couldn't understand. Was he threatening society? Yeah. Is he threatening America? Well, who is he threatening? That's what I was like...
I really want them to get back onto X and start tweeting again. Twitter, whatever.
I was thinking about joining back on just to see what was going on.
Yeah, I need to know if Trump's assassination attempt was staged. And
well, his ear is healed, so the answer has to be yes.
Yeah, I want to know if Elon will go that far. Let's go, Elon. Let us know.
Oh, because you don't think an Epstein
the Epstein one
accusation is not far enough?
Dude, God. First of all, that wasn't far. We all knew it already.
No,
we all knew it already. We knew he was in there. Just like we know Clinton's in there. Just how we know everybody else is in there. Take them all.
No, they were on
down.
the planes. You don't know, based on all this stuff, there is definitely a connection that needs to be investigated for sure. Okay, just if not to clear the president's name, right? Why not clear your name and show that like you're definitely not in the files? Like show you know that there there's that, you know what I mean? And then
they're gonna show the files and there's all these blacked out. See, I'm not in there.
you know, but you know what I'm saying? Like there is that. Like there's people that have been like, no, I was on the plane, but I didn't go to his island. Like there's like you can understand like
the charter.
Sometimes I can see because you know you trade when you're doing like especially PR. Like I know with fashion PR, you're doing all kinds of like trading free clothes, trading whatever. I could totally see people as friends trying to make a deal, like a big $1 million deal. And sure, jump on my plane. Do you know what I mean? Like that's normal. That's like that. And we were talking about million for them. That's normal, right? Yeah, no, but think about like how
I cannot wrap my head around it.
But you can intellectually, I would understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so let's like at least go there.
Okay. It's the equivalent of like, because I'm a licensed esthetician. It's like me trading a facial for getting my nails done.
Yes, it's exactly the same.
Like it's like that.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Now there's a threshold of dollar amounts where like taxes get involved, right?
For sure.
But like, this is why they were doing like the tax break for the private planes. Remember the first tax code under Trump was like you get a tax break if you have a private plane, like a jumbo. Did you not know that?
Yeah.
Now you can get a tax break for tanning beds. That was in this last big beautiful bill.
Yeah.
And the other thing that
I'm surprised spray tans weren't in there.
I mean, it's covered in the tanning bed.
Is it?
I mean, the tanning bed is, I would imagine.
I don't know if Trump spray tans or if he gets in a tanning bed.
All of it is tax deductible.
All of it.
No, it is. It's all tax deductible.
Okay,
it doesn't
let's
matter.
talk about these whiny big diaper baby boys. So yeah, it started with Elon. Started with Elon talking shit about Trump's wonderful bill that he's trying to get passed. And then so I think Trump retaliated by threatening to cut his federal contracts and which SpaceX.
You know what we should do? We should read that Heather Richardson Cox, that whole breakdown, because that like literally as a resource, we should definitely like.
We can link it in the show notes. So or put it on our Substack so people can see it.
Yeah, that breakdown is like extremely. If you follow us on Substack, we're going to be including like follow up notes, so that like reference materials and like what we're talking about. Maybe not like to the extent of like a full on like congressional. Maybe sometimes, maybe not. Like we're not perfect, but we're going to do our best to like
summarize everything.
Yeah, and help and give you Substack stuff that's like interesting.
Yeah.
You know, so perhaps with this one, it would be like the funny memes that people are writing that I find, and I'm going to follow up with like the funniest, like
the memes are so good.
They're and just the jokes. It's going to be for like I haven't laughed like this for a while because you get tired of hearing jokes about them, but like this was actually really funny. So the bromance of like all the songs, like oh my god, Senator Chuck Schumer posted on his official Facebook page. He said it was a reference to Taylor Swift's song, Bad Blood. Mm-hmm. And all the comments was like, we are never ever getting back together.
Yeah.
There's all these different songs and I was just cracking up. Like, that's
all
so
of this
funny.
Before his birthday. He's not going to get a gift from Elon Musk this year.
Watch, he gives him a Cybertruck that like doesn't work well. There was like somebody made a joke about how like this relationship is falling apart faster than a Tesla Cybertruck's wheels.
I know the memes, the jokes are so good,
but it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine. We're all fine
because we need to just we need to
decolonize. But yeah, so
I don't know. Tell us what you think about this new fallout because it's just happened.